Hello, hello, fellow Earthlandians, the people of the heart. Welcome to the Advancement Center. And as always, welcome to the world of magic and miracles. It's another magnificent day of magic and miracles. I'm just aware of so much. The further you go, the bigger your awareness becomes. You see things, you know things, while still even operating in this physical dimension. In sitting here before the broadcast, I could see how far you can disappear in 1 minute as the clock ticks down before it's time for you to start. That's how quickly you can leave any world that's making you uncomfortable. Even less time than that. What I noticed is how powerful we are. The further I go, the more I become aware of what I say and what I transmit is what is true for me. So 2 weeks ago, maybe I said, I'm not 66, I'm 33. And it's real now. No matter what it looks like on the outside, I can feel that I'm 33. And my body is getting its act together to be 33 again. That's how powerful we are. And every time something tries to disturb that reality, I just say, piss off, I'm 33. It's that simple. And I begin to live as though I'm 33. My walk may change, my movement may change, my face will change, just because I decided. And that's what we're capable of, deciding to make a different reality in the face of a human entity that, with great difficulty, accepts that that power is available. Yet by transmitting the feeling of a 33-year-old in a 66-year-old body, people will realize that they can do it as well. I saw one day recently, I was parked in a parking lot and a person parked next to me and just started smoking a cigarette. And I smelled the smoke and I was like, wow, it's been so long since I've smelled that. And the fact that he had to go somewhere off the grid to smoke. And I thought, wow, I remember when it all started to change. Smoking became slowly but surely taboo in this country. You weren't allowed to smoke in the break room at work. and then on the plane, and then in the movies, and it feels like it was yesterday. That's how quickly change happens, subtly. You're not even paying attention. You don't notice that you're not smelling smoke because it's all been changed. And nobody's saying anything. Nobody's announcing it. You could go to another country and that's not the case. Smoking is normal. And we have our issues with guns here. And you can go to another country and they have no thought of having a gun. Just doesn't exist. It's been deleted from their reality. But that's how quickly things can change behind the scenes without you even paying attention to it happening. There's so much we're capable of, so much power within each one of us. And it's always a challenge because the human entity, if they haven't accepted that, they only can speak from the place of, I don't have the power. I trust in this one or that one, but I'm incapable of changing my life and therefore the life of the human entity. But everyone has within them that capability. They just have to decide to say I'm 33 when I'm 66. I'm going to share these words that I found on the internet, which isn't normal for me. They found me, more or less. I transcribed them and edited them a little bit, but I felt that it was important. Edgar Cayce made a prediction about February 17th, 2026, that nobody is talking about, and it's happening in exactly, said 14 days here, but it's a little less. He called it the timeline split, the moment when humanity divides into two completely different realities. And here's the thing, the choice of which timeline you end up on is happening right now. The message is clear, and the astrology we're about to discuss is very, very real. So I've been studying Edgar Cayce's readings for years, and this particular prophecy is one of the most misunderstood and one of the most important, because what Cayce saw coming on February 17th, 2026, isn't just about an eclipse. It's about a fundamental shift in how reality itself operates. And here's what most people miss. This eclipse is the culmination of everything we've been building toward. This is the moment, the activation point, the split. So in this video, I'm breaking down what Edgar Cayce actually predicted about February 17th, 2026. Why the astrology backing this up is absolutely unprecedented, what the timeline split really means, and how to know which timeline you're moving into. So before we get into Cayce's specific prophecy, you need to know why February 17th is cosmically different from any other eclipse we've experienced. This isn't just spiritual talk. The astrology is stacked in ways we haven't seen in decades. On February 17th, 2026, we have an annular solar eclipse at 28 degrees of Aquarius. Now, 28 degrees is what astrologers call the anaretic degree. That's the very last degree before a sign changes. And when planets are at that degree, they express in extreme, urgent, and seismic ways. This eclipse is literally screaming for breakthrough. But here's where it gets wild. Just 3 days after this eclipse, on February 20th, we have Saturn conjunct Neptune at exactly 0 degrees of Aries. That's the world axis, the first degree of the entire zodiac. Pure potential, infinite possibility. And this Saturn-Neptune conjunction, it happens once every 36 years. The last time was 1989 when the Berlin Wall fell. Think about the magnitude of that shift. This is massive, and it gets even bigger. Neptune just entered Aries on January 26, 2026, for the first time since the 1860s, where it will stay until 2039. Neptune has a 165-year orbit. You will not see Neptune in Aries again in your entire lifetime. Think about that. This is a once-in-a-lifetime cosmic signature. So we have 3 enormous events happening in one single week. February 17th, solar eclipse at 28 degrees Aquarius. February 20th, Saturn-Neptune conjunction at 0 degrees Aries, all during Neptune's entry into Aries and the Chinese New Year of the Fire Horse. The Fire Horse year, by the way, is all about unbridled energy, revolution, and freedom. The last Fire Horse year was 1966. Remember the 1960s? Massive protests, demands for freedom, social revolution, the counterculture movement. That energy is back, but amplified times 10. Edgar Cayce saw all of this coming. He described this exact window in his readings over 80 years ago, and he called February 17th the point of no return. So let's talk about what Cayce actually said, because this is where it gets really interesting. In his readings, Cayce described something he called the Great Bifurcation. That means a splitting, a fork in the road. He said that starting in early 2026, 2 distinct timelines would begin to separate energetically, and by February 17th, the split would become irreversible. He described it like this: in the time of the water-bearer's shadow, when the celestial alignment occurs at the 0 point, those who have readied their hearts will step through the veil. 2 realities will coexist, one born of love and expansion, one born of fear and contraction. Each soul chooses their dwelling place. Now, when Cayce talked about timeline splitting, he wasn't talking about some abstract mystical concept. He was talking about vibrational frequency. People operating at different frequencies will literally begin to experience different realities on the same planet. And here's the key: the eclipse on February 17th is the activation point. This is when the split locks in. Those who are ready will move into what he called the New Earth timeline, a reality of abundance, synchronicity, heart-based manifestation, telepathic connection, and what he called Christ consciousness. The ability to see and feel the interconnectedness of all things. But those who are not ready will experience the eclipse as an intensification of chaos, scarcity, control, fear, and separation. Same planet, different timelines, different realities, and both groups won't even be able to fully understand each other anymore. That's the split. It's like you're speaking different languages, even when you're using the same words. Now let's look at how the astrology confirms exactly what Casey predicted, because it's remarkable. This eclipse is ruled by Uranus, the planet of awakening, revolution, sudden change, and truth. And Uranus is square to the eclipse, which means it's triggering massive, unexpected breakthroughs. Uranus just went stationary direct on February 3rd, just a few days ago. When Uranus stations, you get seismic energy, power outages, cyber events, aviation incidents, truth revelations, things that were hidden suddenly exposed, structures that seemed permanent suddenly collapsing. The eclipse itself is a North Node eclipse, which means it's future oriented, not past oriented. This isn't about what was, this is about what's being born, the new beginning, the new timeline. Neptune in Aries is about a brand new spiritual identity, being your own spiritual leader. No more gurus, no more waiting for someone to save you. You become the sovereign leader of your own consciousness. And Saturn conjunct Neptune 3 days after the eclipse. That's the universe saying, get real about your dreams, make them tangible, build the new earth with your hands, not just your intentions. Stop the illusion, stop the delusion, and create something real from your heart. Casey saw this astrological convergence over 80 years ago. He knew this window would come, and he said those who recognize it and act will experience what seems like miracles to everyone else. But it is not magic, it's just a natural result of aligning with the ascending timeline. So how do you know which timeline you're moving into? Casey gave 3 specific markers that show up between now and February 17th. First marker, time distortion. If you've been experiencing moments where time feels non-linear, where hours pass like minutes or minutes feel like hours, that's a sign you're shifting. Casey said the ascending timeline operates outside linear time. You'll have deja vu so strong, you know you've lived this moment before. You'll receive information about future events before they happen, not vague intuition, specific detailed knowing about what's coming. This happens because the energetic structure that keeps us locked in linear time is loosening. And for those who are ready, this creates an incredible advantage. You'll sense which decisions lead to which outcomes before you make them. You'll access information from your future self about what you need to know right now. Second marker, instant manifestation. If your thoughts are manifesting into physical reality faster than ever before, that's the timeline split beginning. What you focus on is appearing within days or even hours. For example, you think about needing help with something, and within hours, someone offers exactly that help. You visualize a specific outcome, and circumstances align to make it happen within days. You hold a clear intention, and obstacles that seemed immovable suddenly dissolve. How cool is that? Now, here's what Casey warned about. This shift is neutral, responds to whatever consciousness you're holding. The universe doesn't judge, it just says yes. If you're holding fear-based thoughts, those will manifest just as quickly as love-based thoughts. You can manifest a castle just as easily as a prison, and the universe doesn't judge. So keep your field in harmony, non-judgment, and non-fear. Third marker, relationship shifts. This one's intense, and a lot of people are experiencing this right now. People will start falling away from your life rapidly, and it won't be dramatic. No big fights, no major betrayals. They'll just fade like mist. You'll stop hearing from them. They'll stop reaching out, and you won't even miss them because you're literally vibrating into different timelines. Casey said those who resonate will remain, those who will not will dissolve. It's not personal, it's frequency. On the other hand, new people will start appearing in your life seemingly out of nowhere, people who match your new frequency, people who understand what you're going through without you having to explain. If you're experiencing one or all three of these markers, you're already in the transition zone. The eclipse locks it in. Casey said, focusing on your heart's true desires before February 17th is critical. The eclipse opens a heart-based manifestation window that, when open, will create whatever your heart truly wants, not what your ego wants or what you should want, not what society tells you to want, but what your soul genuinely desires. So between now and February 17th, get clear. What does your heart actually want? What would you create if you knew you couldn't fail? What brings you genuine joy, not just temporary pleasure? Write it down. Get specific, because on February 17th, the universe will be listening to your heart's frequency, and it will deliver exactly what you're broadcasting. Casey said this shift is permanent. Once heart-based manifestation activates, it becomes your new default way of creating. You can't go back. We don't want to, but you have to choose it consciously. And that choice point happens on February 17th. So what happens after February 17th? According to Casey, the split becomes locked in. You can't go back. Once you've moved into the ascending timeline, your old reality literally won't exist anymore for you. You'll look back at who you were a few weeks ago and barely recognize the person that you were. You'll start operating with abilities that seem miraculous to others. Intuitive knowing, synchronicity, daily bending reality to your heart's desire, telepathic connections, seeing into people's hearts, instantly knowing if they're trustworthy. But it won't feel magical. It will feel natural, like you finally remembered how reality actually works. And the people still on the descending timeline, they won't understand. They'll think you're lucky. They'll think you changed. They might even think you're crazy. But the truth is, you've shifted the dimensions. Casey called this the greatest opportunity in 2,000 years. He said the last time this kind of vibrational shift happened was during the time of Christ. And the next time it comes, it won't be in our lifetime. This is it, February 17th, 2026. The timeline split, the activation, the moment you've been preparing for, whether you knew it or not. The 3D world is going to get louder. The chaos, the collapsing structures, the turbulence, it's all going to intensify. That's not a bad thing. That's right on time. The old world built on greed, inequality, and power can't hold the new frequencies coming in. It has to collapse. Expect it to get crazier. Expect the news to get more intense, but you don't have to live at that level. You can be on your eagle's perch, observing it all with compassion and calm. Your greatest service to the collective is to stay in love, peace, joy, and gratitude. That coherent energy is what stabilizes everything. You're the anchor. You're the lighthouse. Let the old world collapse loudly while you quietly birth the new one from within. Because what you focus on expands. If you're focused on the chaos with fear, that's what expands in your reality. But if you're focused on the new earth, the new connections, the new healing technologies, the telepathy with animals, the connection with galactic beings, the multidimensionality that's opening up, that's what expands for you. Same planet, different realities. So here we go. Are you ready to step into the new timeline? I know you are. So let's go. When the moon is in the seventh house, and Jupiter aligns with Mars, then peace will guide the planets, and love will steer the stars. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius, the age of Aquarius. Harmony and understanding, sympathy and trust abounding. No more falsehoods or derisions, golden living dreams of visions, mystic crystal revelations, and the mind's true liberation. Aquarius, Aquarius, Earthlandia, Earthlandia. The new timeline, the new reality, same planet, two different understandings, two different ways of being, each one choosing for themselves. Cheers, everyone. What you feel so strongly within yourself is happening. One way or another, it is happening. Love, magic, and laughter, but mostly laughter. Thank you for listening. I am David.